Hello, welcome back to my channel again, and today I will explain the least common denominator and greatest common factor. What is the least common denominator, or abbreviation of LCD? LCD is the smallest number. Both numbers can be divided. What is that? Let me explain it with an example. Imagine we have to find the LCD of number 14 and 40. The first thing which is required from you is writing down number 14 as two factors. If you multiply 7 and 2, your answer is 14. So 7 and 2 and 2 factors of 14. And also, number 7 and number 2 are both prime numbers. Prime numbers are numbers which can be divided only 1 and to itself. So if you pay attention to the number 7, it can be divided to the 1 and 7. That's why these two numbers are prime numbers. They cannot be divided to other two factors as well. If you move on to the number 40, 40 can be divided to the 2 and 20. If you multiply 2 and 20, your result is 40. However, number 20 is not prime number. It has got dividers. So number 10 and 2 is the factors of number 20. If you multiply number 10 and 2, your answer is 20. And also, number 10 can be divided other two factors. Let's choose number 5 and number 2. If you multiply number 5 and number 2, your result is 10. However, this number 5 and number 2 are prime numbers. It doesn't have any divisors. So if you pay attention, number 14 is equal to 2 multiplied 7, and 40 is equal to 2 exponent 3, because we have got 2 numbers here. That's why it's 2 exponent 3. And we have got only number 5. So how we can find LCD? Let's write down number 14 and let's write down the dividers or the numbers which can divide number 14. So the first number is 14. 14 can divide 14. 28 can also divide 14. 42 can divide 14. 56 can also divide 14, and so on. However, let's see, we have got the number 280 which can divide number 14. Let's move on to the 40. If we write down number 40, 40 can divide 40, 80 can divide 40, 120 can divide 40, and so on. And we have also got 280 here, which can divide number 40. And if you paid attention, 280 is the first number in the list which can divide both numbers. So 280 is the smallest number. 280 is the smallest number in the category. Both numbers can be divided. So 280 can divide both numbers, and this is a rule. Right now we categorized numbers and we found the first number, 280, which can divide both numbers according to the rule. However, we cannot do that with other questions. We have that easier explanation here. As I told you, we have got number 2 and number 7, which is equal to 14, and we have got number 2 exponent 3 and number 5, which is equal to 40. Please keep in mind and do not forget. You have got number 2 and you have got 2 exponent 3. Please always choose the biggest one. Always choose the biggest one. As you know, the biggest one here is 2 exponent 3, okay? And the next factor is number 5. We have to select number 5 as well. And the next factor is number 7, and we have to take number 7 as well. If you multiply it, or if you calculate that on your calculator, you will end up with the answer of 288, which is the answer we found earlier. I hope you understood. Please be careful when you select numbers, and I will show you much more examples to find LCD in the next slides. Let's move on to the greatest common factor. What is greatest common factor? Alternatively, greatest common factor is the biggest number. Both numbers can divide. Let me explain. The same question, we have got number 14 and we have got number 40, and we found out the prime numbers of the two numbers, like previous example. We have got one number 2 and one number 7, the factors of 14, and we have got 2 exponent 3 multiplied 5, the factors of number 40. What is that? What is GCF? Let me explain. If you pay attention, number 14 can divide number 1. Number 14 can divide number 2. If you divide 14 to the 2, your answer is 7. Number 14 can divide number 7. The answer is 2. And number 14 can divide number 14, which is equal to 1. This is the numbers that 14 can divide without remnant. Let's do that for 40 as well. 40 can divide 1, 2, 5, 8, 10, 20, and 40. So, in this category, the biggest number that both numbers can divide is number 2. As you can see, we have a number 1, but it's not the biggest number. And the next number is number 2, that 14 and 40 can divide. In this category, we do not have any other common numbers. That's why the first biggest common number here is number 2. So GCF of 14 and 40 is number 2. Let me explain it with how to find with factors. As I told you, we have that number 2 and we have that number 2 exponent 3. However, unlike the LCD, we have to choose the smallest one here, the smallest one. We have that one number 2, we have that number 2 exponent 3, the smallest one is number 2. Okay, the next question, what about 5? If you remember, on the LCD, we chose the number 5. However, for GCF, please keep in mind, we cannot choose number 5. Why? Very good question, because number 5 can be divided to the 40. However, number 5 cannot be divided to the 14. That's why we cannot take number 5. What about number 7? 7 can be divided to the 14, no problem. However, 7 cannot be divided to the 40. That's why we cannot take number 7 as well. So the final answer is number 2, as I showed you on the category. I hope you understood. Don't worry, right now I am presenting you a bunch of examples to find LCD and GCF, and it helps you to reinforce the knowledge you learned right now. Let's start finding LCD and GCF of 18, 32, and 150. Let's start selecting numbers carefully. For LCD, as I told you, we have got one number 2, we have got 2 exponent 5, we have got 1 number 2. Which one is the biggest? Definitely 2 exponent 5 is the biggest one. That's why we selected 2 exponent 5 here. Good. The next one is number 3. In 18, we have got 3 exponent 2. We don't have 3 here, and we have got 1 3 here. Which one should we select? Of course, the biggest one. So number 3 exponent 2 is selected. Next number here is number 5 exponent 2. For LCD, I told you, it doesn't matter whether other numbers have a 5 or not. We have to take it 5 exponent 2. So the final answer is 7,200. What about GCF? Let's start selecting numbers. For GCF, we have to choose smallest number. We have got number 2, we have got number 2 exponent 5, we have got number 2. All of 3 numbers have got number 2, so we can select the smallest one. Smallest one is definitely number 2. Next number, we have got number 3 here. However, we don't have number 3 here, that's why 3 shouldn't be chosen. We have got number 5 here, however, both 18 and 32 doesn't have number 5, that's why we cannot choose number 5. So our final answer is just 2. 2 is the first number that 18, 32, 150 can divide as the biggest number. I hope you understood, and here's your homework. You can do it by yourself and send me the answers or write down in the comment section. Thank you very much.